Hello everyone, I'm Rakshit Pai and in this video I'll be sharing the most important topic for each and every individual who are planning to start investing in the stock market. Today I'll explain the 3 golden rules of investing and these rules are to be followed by each and every investor. So let's check them out. Rule number 1 is set by Mr. Peter Lynch. Peter Lynch, as you know, is one of the most famous stock market investor, known for his amazing performance as a fund manager at Fidelity Investment, where he gave an amazing return of 29.2% per annum for 13 years. Why listen to me when you can hear the legend himself? Listen to this video, listen very carefully.
The single most important thing to me in the stock market for anyone is to know what you own. I'm amazed how many people own stocks. They would not be able to tell you why they own it. They couldn't say in a minute or less why they own it. Actually, if you really press them down, they'd say the reason I own this is the sucker's going up. I mean, that's the only reason. That's the only reason they own it. And if you can't explain, I'm serious, you can't explain to a 10-year-old in 2 minutes or less why you own a stock, you shouldn't own it. And that's true, I think, about 80% of people that own stocks. And this is the kind of stock people like to own. This is the kind of company people adore owning. This is a relatively simple company. They make a very narrow, easy to understand product. They make a 1 megabit SRAM, CMOS, bipolar risk, floating point data I/O array processor with an optimizing compiler, a 16 dual port memory, a double diffused metal oxide semiconductor monolithic logic chip with a plasma matrix vacuum fluorescent display. It has a 16-bit dual memory. It has a Unix operating system, 4 Whetstone megaflop polysilicon emitter, a high bandwidth, that's very important, 6 gigahertz, double metallization communication protocol, an asynchronous backward compatibility, peripheral bus architecture, 4-wave interleave memory, a token ring interchange backplane, and it does it in 15 nanoseconds of capability. Now, if you own a piece of crap like that, you will never make money. Never. Somebody will come along with more whetstones or less whetstones or a bigger megaflop or a smaller megaflop. You won't have the foggiest idea what's happened. And people buy this junk all the time. I made money in Dunkin' Donuts. I can understand it. When there was recessions, I didn't have to worry about what was happening. I could go there and people were still there. I didn't have to worry about low-priced Korean imports. I mean, I just didn't have, I can understand it. And you laugh. I made 10 or 15 times my money in Dunkin' Donuts. Those are the kind of stocks I can understand. If you don't understand it, it doesn't work. This is the single biggest principle. And it bothers me that people are very careful with their money. The public, when they buy a refrigerator, they get a Consumer Reports. They buy a microwave oven, they do that. They ask people what's the best kind of radar range or what kind of car to buy. They do research on apartments. When they go on a trip to Wyoming, they get the Mobile Travel Guide, or California. When they go to Europe, they get the Michelin Travel Guide. People will hear a tip on a bus on some stock, and they'll put half their life savings in it before sunset, and they wonder why they lose money in the stock market. And when they lose money, they blame it on the institutions and program trading. That is garbage. They didn't do any research. They bought a piece of junk. They didn't look at the balance sheet, and that's what you get for it.
So this is rule number 1. And it is know what you own. Rule number 2. Now this rule is something that not only applies to investing but also to all professions and even to some extent to our personal life too. It is to keep emotions out. This is extremely important. Both greed, hope and fear are a form of emotions, although to some extent are required to make intellectual decisions, but if they are the only source of your decisions, then you are bound to make mistakes. Hence, it is very important to be aware of our emotional sense and keep them out of our investing. Many of you may be aware that market is nothing but in its entirety it is emotionally driven. If an individual does the opposite, then he or she has an advantage over the market by thinking rationally. So when the whole market is in greed or fear, you as an investor do the opposite, and with your intellectual and lack of emotional spirit, you may have an upper hand here. Our rule number 3 is set by Mr. Warren Buffett. Buffett needs no introduction, and let's listen to what he has to say.
How do you keep up with all the media and information that goes on in our crazy world and in your world of Berkshire Hathaway? What's your media routine?
I just read and read and read. I probably read 5 to 6 hours a day. I don't read as fast now as when I was younger, but I read 5 daily newspapers. I read a fair number of magazines. I read 10Ks. I read annual reports, and I read a lot of other things too. So I've always enjoyed reading. I love reading biographies.
And this is our rule number 3. Look at it this way. Our education system makes us read, memorize and write throughout the year for over 20 years. It's not just to clear our exams and move on, but it is actually to make us habituated with reading and writing. It's a task for life. We are not supposed to stop reading and writing or learning as soon as we get out of studies and get a job. Especially in investing, you are supposed to read and be informed. Now you may be at a situation where you cannot devote much time in reading or are interested but not sure where to start. In that case, I'll help you out. Just follow the 3 methods. Number 1, Google Finance. It's a gem. I have made a video on this topic. Do check it out, and there you will clearly understand the importance of Google Finance. Check the link in the description. I have explained in detail. 2, Money Control or such other websites. I use Money Control because it's the best. I have subscribed for their pro subscription, which is just 365 rupees or 1 rupee per day. You all can subscribe too, and the articles are just amazing. They give very informative articles, and the best one is subscribe to this channel. Check out the link in the description. Check out my website too. Every day I'll post at least 1 video and 1 article for you guys. Do check them out. Also in the link I have put Telegram channel, so we can all meet at one place. So these are my golden rules for investing. That's it for today. Thank you for watching.